Welcome to the Blockchain and Aviation live broadcast. It's Mark Schultz, your host with DigitalAircraft, and I am very excited to bring to you today the idea of execution. We for the last 4 weeks, we've looked at many different projects and many different ideas from very enthusiastic companies and things they're doing in the industry to be able to bring blockchain into aviation. And I know that many of you out there have ideas and you have companies and you have projects, and there are things that you want to do to bring forward to be able to help the industry to be successful. And many times we struggle with that idea or that concept of how do I take it from idea into full execution? How do I create success? And so that's what we'll be talking about today, is the creation of success. Before I do that, I want to jump into taking a look at the upcoming schedule, the lineup that we have. Today, we're talking about next steps in execution, creating success in a project. I want to point out to you that on Wednesday, we have a special launch event by DigitalAircraft, and you're going to want to join that because there's some really exciting things that we're bringing forward into the industry. Friday, we have a company called Real Variable, and they're out there in the industry bringing forward supply chain and warranty solutions, and you're going to want to watch that. Then next week, we have a very challenging agenda for you. If you're a business owner out there today, or if you're an individual who's looking to raise equity, you are going to want to join us on Monday, August 15th with the company Securitize. Securitize is a company who engages with companies and individuals that gives them opportunities to be able to invest in companies, as well as helps them to raise equity. And then what they've done most recently is they've leveraged the blockchain and the tokenization of assets to be able to bring together equity raises and tokenization. That's something that you're going to want to understand and to see if you're part of a company which is growing and is putting out solutions into the industry. Wednesday, we have uncrewed traffic management, air traffic management. We have the leader of that effort from Cranfield University. And then I'm going to point out next Friday as a project that we're bringing on that you are going to want to see. It's NFTs for jets. Now, what is that all about? There's a company called ETHJets, and what they're actually doing is they're actually enabling people to buy NFTs and to have access to business jets by buying those NFTs. And it's something that many of us have thought about or wanted to be part of or dream about, is engaging in private jet travel. And they actually are making it possible for a wide range of people to be able to be involved in jets, in travel and private business jets. And then we go on with some exciting things for the next 2 weeks after that. But we have 4 weeks of lineup ahead of us, and I know that I know that you guys have gotten a lot out of this series, because I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, from many different people and companies, about what we've been doing and how we've been bringing forward ideas and how we've been helping people to get their message out and to be able to, drive the idea of efficiency through blockchain in aviation. Hey, listen, I want to talk to you today about where we're going and what we're doing. Before I do that, let me just ask you, is that, as I always do, I like to ask people to share this live stream. I'm passionate about two things. I'm passionate about aviation and I'm passionate about digital. And I need your help to be able to get the word out. And I'd like to ask you, if you would, to please share this live stream. It's always important for us to do that. And then I always like knowing who's watching out there and who's on the broadcast. And so if you're watching the broadcast today, down in the bottom, there's a comment box always on the platform that you're watching on. And I would appreciate it if you would just drop a comment in the box and let me know who's watching out there and where you're watching from. Each week we have people watching from all corners of the earth, which is so exciting. I have people in North America, Latin America, South America. We have people in Africa and the Middle East. We have people all around the world who, it says somebody's telling me that my screen is blank and they don't know if it's only him. I'm not really sure. If anyone out there is watching and you're telling me that the screen is blank, I would sure like to know that, to know if it's more than just one person. Ahmad, thanks for telling me that, and I hope it's only you, and we get that corrected, because if there's other people that are watching and can't see it, I'm needing to know that. Awesome. So we have people checking in from Florence. We have Tamara checking in from Florence. Welcome, Tamara. I appreciate you being here on the broadcast. There are so many people out there that are passionate about aviation and share this passion of aviation and digital. And we have people that join from all around the world. They've been repeat joiners, like Sudarshan has joined us frequently from India. Thanks for joining again from India. And it's great just that we can reach out and see people all around the world. And I got a thumbs up from somebody saying it's visible. So Ahmad, I hope we can get that fixed for where you are, but I hope the rest of you are able to see this. So thanks for pointing it out to me, Sudarshan. I appreciate that. Hey, listen, I'm gonna start jumping in to the broadcast, and I'll keep bringing you up and recognizing you as part of it. But I want to start out by sharing a little bit of a story with you today. Many of you have been watching this for weeks, and I've been doing live broadcasts now for over 3 years. And right now I've done approximately 1,000 live broadcasts, and I'm really passionate about that. And what I decided a few years ago was that I was passionate about digital, and I needed to use digital to be able to help people to execute on digital. And I'm going to come to that as a second part of my discussion here. But I want to tell you just a little bit about myself. Some of you don't even really know, my background or myself or who I really am. But as a young person, my father, he used to take me out to the airport, and we would sit at the runway in the car, and we would watch airplanes take off. And he did all sorts of different ways to encourage me to pursue those things that I was interested in. And at that time, it was aviation. And I just had a love for watching airplanes, take off. And it was just really amazing to me to be able to see that. And I had this exciting, dream that maybe one day I could, fly as a pilot. And my father was actually building an airplane in the basement of our house. It was an aluminum airplane, and he would drill and he would rivet and he would cut out, ribs and stringers. And unfortunately, he never finished that. He never finished building the airplane, and then he sold it. But what he did is he continued to build this desire in me for aviation. And then the time came when I was a young man in school, and they did some of those tests that they do to try to find your interests. And I took a test, and it said, hey, one of the things you could do is you could be an A&P or an aircraft mechanic. And I thought, I could be an aircraft mechanic. So at that point in time, I decided I was going to be an aircraft mechanic. So my mind started thinking about, how do I do this? And how do I accomplish this? And what do I do? And I remember very distinctly, I was 17 and a half years old, and I was a senior in high school. And I called up a friend of mine who was working for a company at the time called Control Data Corporation, CDC, and they were just putting digital onto hard disks. And I called him up and I said, this is really ridiculous that in order to be able to do an airworthiness directive search on an airplane, you have to get the paper, and you have to look at the paper, and you have to be able to look up the ADs that are applicable to an aircraft, and it's quite difficult to do that. And I asked him, I said, how do you put these pieces of paper onto a hard drive? Okay. This is a long time ago. I'm going to date myself now. This was 1977 when I was doing this. And so you see, I've been on this journey of wanting to bring people into the digital world in aviation for many, many years. And it's something that's been extremely important to me. And so you ask, why am I passionate about this? And that's because I have a long history of thinking about this. Well, listen, I went to work at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft Company, and I worked on military aircraft on the F-18. And one of the first things I did was they presented me with schedules that I was working on, and those schedules were done in pencil and on paper. We were doing manufacturing of F-18 aircraft by drawing schedules on paper. And I just said, there has to be a better way. And I began to look at, electronic or digital schedules at that time. This was early. And from there, I went on to work at Northwest Airlines. And at Northwest Airlines, I started working in engineering and technical publications and in technical training and in the shops. And I was actually consuming of digital data that existed out there. And this gave me a deep understanding of what the industry was doing. And it became very frustrating because I found that at times we had paper only, and we needed to dig in deeper, and we needed to be able to create electronic task orders, and we needed to be able to create, electronic manuals. And at that time, I transitioned from being a consumer of data to being a deliverer of digital and digital data. And for the last 20 years of my career, I focused on how do I deliver digital data digital information. How do I help companies with digital transformation to help them to be successful? And then you ask, well, where did that journey take me? Well, it took me all the way to where we are right now, where we're looking at blockchain and aviation. Now, why am I doing that? Why am I looking at blockchain and aviation? Because at different times in history, we've seen different things happen, which have caused a massive explosion in technology. And at the time of the internet, we saw a massive growth in technology when we went from using paper to now starting to do distributions, electronically. But let me say this, is that it was only until right before when we had the shutdown of the systems a couple of years ago and the slowdown in the economy, when all of the factors had really been put in place to enable us to be successful in digital. And what do I mean by that? Is that, okay, we had software, we had internet, we had technology, we had hardware, we had business applications which enable us to do this. But one of the remaining challenges that we had was really full acceptance. We had a difficulty of full acceptance of digital by airlines, MROs. Many were using digital systems, but not full acceptance. We still had paper in use. And then the largest remaining hurdle was really regulatory. And we had regulatory agencies, which just only 2 years ago were saying, we don't have the factors in place to be able to help us to control this. We don't have, the regulations in place to really enable us to oversee and manage safety using digital. And this was right before we went into some of the lockdowns that we had. And when that happened, really everything opened up. And now we realized that we had to have digital and that people had to use digital in order to be able to optimize our worlds. And that brings us to really where we are today, where we're looking at really a new generation of digital. There really is no place in the world right now where people don't know that we need digital and we need to move from the existing older systems that we have into the more advanced digital that we need in order to be able to create the full efficiencies that we have. And, this is the challenge that I saw in my life. And this is why I've dedicated, the last 3 years really to trying to help communicate this message, is I've tried to use the experience that I have over the last 40 years and the knowledge that I have about technology and the relationships that I've built over years to bring to you the ideas that we need to be able to create efficiencies and success in the industry. Hey, listen, I'm going to go into the next section of this discussion today. But before I do, I just wanted to remind you that I still like knowing who's out there. And if you want to continue to let me know where you're watching from, I'll give you a shout out on the screen. Just drop me a comment in the box. And then I'm going to be taking questions in a little bit here about execution. So listen, let me go to this. First of all, over the last few weeks, we've talked about challenges in the industry. We've talked about operational challenges. Look, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Europe and I flew through the Dublin airport. And when I got there, there was about a 3-hour wait to be able to get to my aircraft. Now you say, well, that's just what's happening. The system is extremely congested right now. Yes, it is. And so the question is that what are we doing to be able to create efficiencies really in the system? And it's all across the entire system. And the challenge that we have is that we have labor shortages today in the industry. We have inflation, which is causing costs to go up right now. We have supply chain challenges. And what's really interesting is that about a year ago, I was working with people to say, how do we solve the supply chain challenges? Because we need to be able to increase the inventories that we have and stabilize the availability of materials to maintain aircraft. And then all of a sudden, some people came to me and said, we have excess inventories in certain areas and we have shortages in other areas. And so this is what I'm trying to say is that we have to have systems in place that are able to respond to the demands around us. We all have factors around us which we don't have control over, and our systems and solutions have to be efficient, and we have to be able to respond to the challenges in the industry to be able to continue to operate our businesses profitably, whether the costs are going up or whether you need more materials or less materials. But really the challenge in the industry is that we have to create efficiencies. But the good news is that I told you that we had significant digital acceptance that exists out there, and we have new technology, now being put before us. Now, over the last 4 weeks, we've brought all kinds of different companies to you that are bringing new blockchain technology, all right? And so, some of the things that we talked about are examples of like supply chain blockchain solutions. And we've talked about how supply chain blockchain solutions allow greater sharing of information, security that we need, enabling greater onboarding of individuals to a blockchain to be able to gain access to supply chain information. We've talked about air navigation and the need to publish data out there for air navigation and to be able to provide information, operational information to operators and people that are involved to be able to optimize the air system, the air transport system. And then we've talked about different things like asset management and how we need good information about records, and we need good information about the history of records in order to be able to optimize and manage the MRO and the maintenance process. So we have all these new technologies that are being presented to us. And so the good news is that we have this opportunity that's before us, all right? So I told you today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about success and execution. Now, I've probably implemented 200, 250 different solutions over my career. And I've seen many different examples of successful projects and projects that were challenged. And so one of the things that I want to do today is I want to talk to you about when you're evaluating new technology, when you're evaluating what you should implement in order to be able to solve business challenges, people ask that, what is digital transformation? Well, digital transformation is a complete redoing of your business and an implementation of something, a solution that results in a dramatic increase in success. That doesn't necessarily mean that we implement technology to create success. It means that we transform our business and we leverage enabling technology to be able to create a new product, a new service, a greater solution, greater efficiency. And it comes together in a package when we do those things together. And so as we've been presenting to you blockchain technologies, I'm not coming to you and saying, implement blockchain. What I'm really doing is I'm coming to you and I'm saying, what business challenges and problems do you have in your business? What new solution are you trying to implement? What challenge do you have? What cost problems do you have? What supply chain problems do you have? How are you going to create better customer service? How are you going to optimize your reservation systems? And what we need to do is we need to say, where are those challenges in our business so that we can consider the solution or the approach to solving them? And then that's when I say you come in and look at the appropriate technology for implementation. And we've seen people implementing blockchain technology because of the advantages of it that come from availability of information, that come from ease of onboarding, that come from security. And we've seen them leveraging that technology to be able to create success. So we know that new technology like blockchain is bringing the possibilities to help us to achieve greater successes and greater efficiencies than never before. All right. So now I'm going to go into really, what do you do in the creation of success? What do you do to ensure a greater ability to be able to execute? Hey, listen, many of you also know that I've been involved in a lot of different industries over my career. I've been in aviation for 40 years, but for 10 years, I also did land development. I was building retail commercial properties, and I built shopping centers, and I built gas stations, and I ran different businesses. And it was during that time that I even learned more about project management. And I want to tell you something about project management, all right? One of the things that I learned from a friend of mine in the construction industry is the faster you can get it done, the less chance there is for requirements to change and the more money you're going to make. So as a business, many times we need to say, how do I execute more rapidly? But it needs to be well thought out and strategically executed. You don't go build a shopping center without a plan. You don't go build a shopping center without architectural drawings, without approvals, from the city and from all the districts and authorities. And so combined together is, what are the requirements? What are the business objectives we're trying to accomplish? What do we do in order to be able to execute quickly and successfully? Those are just some things that I learned. And let me just share one quick story with you about a situation I had. I went into construction with really no experience in construction at all. And how do you do that? How do you do that with no experience at all? Well, I had experience in finding experts in certain subject matters, and I had experience in working with people and putting together teams and projects. And so what I did was I assembled teams of expert people to work with me to execute on projects. And one day, we said, well, we're going to build our very first gas station. We built a gas station convenience store. And people told me, they said, it's 2 years. You need 2 years to get approval of that. You need 2 years to get it aligned. You need 2 years to get the drawings in place. And I said, well, I don't have 2 years. I need to build this gas station convenience store in 6 months. And people told me it was impossible. And I said, well, why? Why is it impossible? And they said, well, that's how long it takes. And I said, and I challenged those ideas. And I said, well, what we need to do is we need to look at the root causes and factors on why you say it's impossible and see if we can do it any quicker than that. And jump to the end. And what I did was I worked with all the parties involved in the cities and the regulatory authorities. And I built this gas station convenience store. And I'm sad to report that I missed the deadline. Is that I wanted to do it in 6 months. And it took me 6 months and 2 weeks. All right. And so what I did was I took this project, which people told me couldn't have been done in less than 2 years and 24 months. And I did it in just over 6 months, proving that if we work together as teams, we can accomplish great things, much faster and better than what we've ever done in the past. And that's the things that we need to continue to be doing when we look at technology, in the aviation industry. I've boiled it down to 4 pillars of digital transformation, which I want to share with you today. And so if you're out there, you might want to just jot down some notes. And if you've followed me before, you've heard me say this before, but there are really 4 pillars to success in digital transformation. And here's what those 4 pillars are. Number 1, it's belief. We have to believe in what we're doing, and we have to be absolutely committed to a successful outcome in order for that project to be successful. Number 2, it's people. It's people being involved in the project where we're leveraging a team, we're leveraging knowledge of the team, we're leveraging knowledge of those around us, and we try not to create everything all on our own from scratch. So belief and people, processes. Digital transformation doesn't come from implementing technology. It comes from having processes that are examined and evaluated to create efficient processes that represent the new products and services or savings within our business processes. Last is technology. I am all about digital and the implementation of technology, but I have seen people implement technology without thinking through how they're going to use it and end up by successfully implementing technology without any true application. They have iPads that are too small, or they have a charging cabinet which holds the iPads, but they have no applications. There's many different things that I've seen out there in the past where people run forward and implement technology and don't really understand how it's going to be used and have challenges. So how do you prevent yourself from being that one project which was not successful? You know what we have fears of? All of us have fears that we'll go down the path and do something and it won't be successful. And many times those risks are what prevent people from actually moving forward and implementing on these projects. So how do we create a successful project? Well, let's talk about that again. I said there were 4 main pillars to the success in digital transformation. Let me tell you why I tell you that belief is the most important thing. I've implemented projects and I've gone to the leaders of those projects in the past and I've said, what do you think was the most important element of success in your digital transformation project? I asked the CEO and he told me, he said, it was my absolute commitment to helping the team to be successful. And I told the team that we're not going into another project which we're just going to slightly improve what we're doing. We're going into a digital transformation project and the outcome is going to be successful. And I'm going to support you. And together as a team, we're going to make this happen and it's going to come out the other end successful. This is what is the main reason for success of digital transformation projects, is the absolute commitment by leadership and the team around into its successful outcome, believing in ourselves and believing in what we're doing to create success in a project. So that's the starting point. And you don't need to know everything about where you're going. Let me give you another example, is that I tell people that our digital transformation projects, our IT portfolios are like a jigsaw puzzle. But let me tell you what the challenge is it's like we have a jigsaw puzzle and somebody lost the cover to the box for the jigsaw puzzle and nobody knows what the picture looks like anymore. All we have is puzzle pieces. And we have the edge pieces, and we have some trees, and we have some airplanes, and we have some runways, and we're doing our best to figure out how this puzzle fits together. But without really having the cover to the box, we don't really know what the outcome is going to be until we struggle through putting all the puzzle pieces together. So here's what I recommend to people is that we start by painting a vision. We say, okay, what are the business challenges that we have? And what are the things that we're trying to accomplish? What's the most, what will give us the fastest return on these things? What are our long-term strategic objectives? And we take our existing portfolio and we put those puzzle pieces out in front of us, and we paint a picture around that, which helps us to understand where we want to go and what we want to do. Listen, you don't need to have an answer to everything. You don't need to know everything on what you're doing. Let me just give you an example. If I'm sailing a boat and I know I want to go to a particular point across the bay, I point my boat in that direction. And many times the wind will change and I have to tack, or I have to go in a different direction in order to be able to get there. But ultimately my goal is headed toward that point on the other side of the bay. And so you don't need to know your exact path and what you're going to get there. You just need to get into water and put up the sail, and you need to head toward that point. Now, how do you reduce your risks in the project? All right. Well, it comes from my point number 2, which is people. Let me tell you what I mean by people. All right. Many times we try to do things on our own. We try to be the sole executor or implementer of a project. You need to leverage those around you. Why don't you learn from others around you? Why do I do these broadcasts that I do? I've done 1,000 of them so far. You know what? I love helping people. I'm passionate about aviation and digital, but I love helping people. I love helping other people to be successful. That's really the main driver in my life, is how do I help people to be successful? And that's turned into manifesting itself through aviation and through digital and the things that I do to be able to help other people to be successful. And so what we do is we look around us and say, where are the people? Where is the knowledge? Where is the expertise that's gone down this path before, so that we can increase the probability of success, we can shorten the timelines and reduce cost. Now, where does that come from? That comes from people in your own organization. It comes from business associates. It comes from vendors. It comes from conferences. It comes from industry. It comes from regulators. It comes from all those around us. And when we collectively work together as a team, as people, all right, we are able to improve the probability of success, reduce timelines, and reduce cost for the things that we're doing. And together, we collectively have greater and better ideas as a team than we do trying to do this individually. That's been proven over and over again. Let me go to the third point now. Process is that what is the point of implementing technology if we don't improve the processes? When I was at Boeing, we had this process where when we would go implement some new technology, like if somebody was going to implement a brand new 787, they already have infrastructure in place. They have maintenance they're performing for other aircraft. They have systems in place. They have IT portfolios. All these things are already in place. So they have an as-is condition that exists. But all of a sudden, there's an event that occurs. There's a new airplane coming, a 787. And that new airplane has requirements for different technology. It has software parts. It has different ground systems. It has different requirements for maintenance. And all of a sudden, we have to say, how is that going to impact our processes? So what we would do is we would go map out the as-is processes for an airline, and we would say, introduce technology. How will the processes change as a result of that? And then we document the outcoming processes. And in the end, what we did is we used technology to be able to implement an enabler for successful optimization or successful efficiency. So you see, it's by putting together process and technology that we can create these efficiencies that we're looking for. Technology gives us a dramatic capability to be able to implement efficiencies, but only when we modify processes in the business, all right? Like, let me give you an example, is that I don't have it with me, my cell phone. If I had a cell phone and I implemented technology and I left it at home every time that I went out somewhere, I would never really get the full benefit of the cell phone technology because it's not with me. It's not mobile. It's implemented technology being used in the wrong way. And if we have mobile devices, which are not in the hands of the mechanics when they're working on the airplane, well, we have capability, which isn't fully optimizing an operation because we haven't fully used that. And there's many of those examples in technology today that we need to use to implement. So business processes are a critical, fundamental component of our successful digital transformation and implementation. Now, let's get down to technology. We've been talking about blockchain technology. We've been talking about NFTs. We've been talking about supply chain. We've been talking about loyalty programs, asset management, all those different things that we've talked about so far. And what we find is that this technology has a dramatic capability to impact and improve our business. So how do you determine what is the right technology? Well, you go back to the things I was just telling you about. Where is the knowledge? Where is the expertise? If you have support from your team or from industry, if you've evaluated the requirements that exist out there, and if you've leveraged the knowledge of the people around you, all of a sudden you find yourself in a place where you begin to better understand the technology that you need. And you say, well, maybe I don't completely understand the blockchain technology. Well, guess what? That's why I'm here right now. I'm trying to help people to better understand the opportunity that presents us with blockchain. Listen, it's extremely important that we in the industry, the aviation industry, understand and leverage blockchain technology going forward, because I'm telling you right now is that blockchain is as big as implementing of the internet, all right? It's going to have that big of an impact. And you say, well, how can that be possible? Because we have all these things in place today that really are impacting our world around us. Well, yeah, we do, all right? But the implementation of blockchain for business applications, the implementation of records, the implementation of maintenance, the implementation of aircraft histories, aircraft configurations, the implementation of data being available to optimize our air traffic system, the implementation of NFTs and being used for loyalty programs and addressing our customer services, our customer support systems, and the implementation of finally cryptocurrency are going to transform the world. Listen, just the implementation of digital currency in the world is going to transform this world. And I know that because of statistics, that only usually 1 out of 10 people really have an understanding of cryptocurrency and what it's doing in the world. And so I have this passion to be able to help people to better understand blockchain and all the different aspects of an aviation so that we can create a better world in aviation. Let me tell you why that's important to me. All right. I got to tell you another story. Listen, I was my first trip ever out of the country. I flew to the country of Manila. All right. And I did a stopover in Seoul, and I went from Seoul down to Manila. And so it was really my first time ever out of the country. And actually, to be honest with you, I was quite concerned because I landed in the airport at Seoul, and I didn't speak Korean, and all I saw was Korean characters. And I stayed really close to my gate, for that transfer that day, because I was just a little bit uneasy or unsure about what I was doing. And then I flew down to Manila. And when I got to Manila, my whole world was opened. My eyes were open because I realized that there was a whole world of people outside of where I lived in the United States that were in different circumstances, and they have different challenges and different problems and different things that they were presented with. And in every country in the world, there's an airline, every country. And for my ability to be able to be involved in that really changed me personally, because I went from there to supporting training up and down the Pacific region. I flew to countries all over the Pacific when I worked for Northwest Airlines. I've done work in North and South America. I've done work in Latin America, and I've seen cultures in all those different places. And again, I say I've seen cultures and people in those places. I've done work all over Europe and in the Middle East and in Africa. And the most amazing thing to me is how aviation connects us as people. And so I have this passion for aviation because it connects us as people. And how do we create a more efficient world in aviation is that we implement digital and digital transformation. So we jump all the way to the end and we say is that what is the reason for focusing on digital in aviation? Why talk about blockchain in aviation? What is the point in that? Is because I am passionate not just about digital and not just about aviation, but I'm passionate about connecting people, in aviation. And I'm passionate about meeting people and helping people and connecting people. And so I firmly believe that aviation connects people. I'm able to be involved in aviation and digital, and I can connect with you and I can connect with other people. And so why have I been doing this series for the last 4 weeks? is that so we can optimize, and we can optimize aviation. We can create a better world for air transport, and we can connect with people all around the world. And then together we're creating a better air transport system. And what it boils down to is that in this particular piece of aspect of it is that what are you doing in digital? What are you doing in digital transformation to be able to optimize your world? Now, let me ask you this, is that you have a great idea. You know, have you ever had a great idea that you didn't implement and then somebody else implemented it? You know, it's because we didn't take that step forward. We didn't take that step forward and implement it, is what we didn't do. I've had so many of those moments in my life, and I've said, you know, I have this great idea and I should do this, and I didn't do anything about it. So number one, we need to move forward. We need to step forward, and we need to actually take action. That's the first thing. All right. The second thing is that how can you sell your products and services if nobody knows who you are? So as a business, what are you doing to get your idea out there? What are you doing to work with other people? What are you doing to get your idea out and be able to execute and implement on it? All right. And I've given you the 4 corners of digital transformation that I believe are the 4 essential components of success of digital projects. And it's those 4 corners of digital transformation that enable people to be successful. Hey, listen, I want to tell you is that the rest of this week, we have 2 more broadcasts this week. And on Wednesday, I want to tell you is that we have a special event on Wednesday, which you're not going to want to miss, because it's, again, a digital aircraft event. And on Wednesday, I'm going to release to you some amazing new digital blockchain-based products and services that we're bringing to the industry. And I'm going to share those with you as a first look on Wednesday. And I'm going to have some of my team with me, and we're going to actually be on the live broadcast together here in the studio on Wednesday, where we're going to share those things. So I want to personally invite you to be here on Wednesday to be able to watch that. And then on Friday, I have a company that I've worked with for a couple of years now that I've been very impressed with. And they have blockchain technology that's been proven and implemented in the industry already today for warranty and for supply chain. And we're going to be talking about how that's being used to transform supply chain and flexibility within the industry. So those are the 2 big things that are happening this week that you are definitely going to want to be here for. And so I want to invite you to continue to participate in this journey. And you saw that we have a big lineup over the next 4 weeks, where we're going to be sharing more and more about digital and about digital transformation, specifically blockchain and aviation. And I'm going to continue to bring in interesting guests who are going to share strategies and tactics about blockchain and aviation. And you're going to hopefully be learning from that and get new ideas and ability to be able to execute on your own, whether you're partnering with one of those vendors or another vendor out there, or whether you're just learning from people. You know, my goal is for us to better understand blockchain and aviation so that we can create efficiencies, you know, really in the industry. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here with me. And I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday when we have the special launch event that we're doing. Thank you so much to the followers that are out there and all of you who've been watching these series. We have repeat people that keep coming back over and over again. And over the last 4 weeks, we've had about 65,000 people that have watched the broadcasts. And I'm hoping we have even much more over the next 4 weeks as I bring all the rest of the guests in, you know, going forward. So continue to take your ideas, think about what you're doing to execute. And as we move forward into the next 4 weeks of this series, think about what you'll be doing to learn about blockchain and the key elements of blockchain and what you're doing to implement that within your world. Thanks for joining me today. Fair winds and following seas to you. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day. And I appreciate you being part of this broadcast.